Honorable Minister, sir, all other protocols observed. You are highly welcome to Jamata River Port site. We're happy to see you here. The project is owned by the Federal Ministry of Transport and is executed by the National Inland Waterways Authority. The port is to serve part of the North Central region, and we already have one of the 4 ports that we have, 2 in the Anambra State, and 1 in Imo State, 1 in Anambra, and 1 in Lokoja. The 4th one is at Baro and is about 98% completed. This port was awarded in 2012 to Inter-Bua construction company. It's supposed to last for 37 months. It is about 47% completed as at now. It composes of 3 major sections. The reclamation work, which as you can see is in advanced stage. The key structure, which is a major part more than all others, and then the transit shed and other buildings, some have not been started yet. So that's what I said, it is at now at about 47%. There may be some constraints which with time we hope just about from budgetary constraints, the project is progressing. And you are highly welcome. We'll take you around and show what is being done. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't introduce you. My name is Emmanuel Etem. I'm standing in for the managing director who unavoidably had to travel with the Minister of Transport. I am the general manager engineering in the Department of Engineering in NIWA, National Inland Waterways Authority. Thank you. The person in charge of Inter-Bua and the consultant is Hikima. Right here. Yeah, right behind. And no, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, all protocol observed. My name is Hans Salagwa. I'm an engineer. I'm the project engineer representing Inter-Bua Construction, the contractors on the project. As the MD engineer, as the general manager engineering of the Inland Waterways Authority has mentioned, the project is moving along quite satisfactorily. We've had to request extensions for just a few months, just to compensate for unexpected site conditions, which all of us would expect you'd find on projects of this magnitude. But there is a cordial relationship between the contractor, the supervision consultants, as well as the client and the representatives of the federal government. So as a result, I think in particular because of that cordial relationship, things are moving along as all of us would expect. And as Inter-Bua hopes to complete the project by March, April of next year, we're well within schedule. If there are any questions, we'll take them when we conclude introducing ourselves. I'll now let a member of the supervision consultant say a word. Thank you.
I'm Engineer Hassan Yusuf, representing the consultant Hikma Associate Limited. We are the supervising consultant to this project, and as my colleagues have said, the project is progressing as we expected, except some little constraint he has mentioned. As we go into the project and inspect all sections of the project and questions are asked, then we can feedback on the questions.
Just before we proceed, there are a few clarifications. Could you increase the volume, Oliver? Gentleman standing in for the managing director of NIWA was speaking. He said the project was for 37 months, and now you're saying the project will be completed by March, April next year. And he said the project was kicked 57, but he said 37. So, okay, let's get some of these technical details clearly sorted out. You are saying the project will be It's
57 weeks.
But he said 37 months. Anyhow, so it's important for us to have this. It's important for us to have these technical details sorted out. Now, we are seeing construction work going on, and we would like, of course, to have a visit to the site. On getting there, what are we likely to see? And if there are other technical details, what is the capacity of the port? What is the depth, of the port here? You will require further dredging. Once we have those technical details, we'll ask questions and then we'll make some comments and observations. Good.
Did you want to? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the port, the capacity of the port itself has a berthing length of 150 meters. The area is such that it will perform the function it's meant to perform, which is an intermediary location between the Onitsha port, which is downstream from here at Onitsha, and a port upstream, which is the port at Barrow. As the engineering manager mentioned, it's well on its way to conclusion. This port will, because of its location close to the I'm pointing towards the where the Benue and the Niger meet, bifurcation occurs, the confluence, occurs, will perform functions such as goods and services that are coming up from Onitsha, coming up from the ocean, for instance, will stop at Onitsha, where goods that are going to the east and to the west in the vicinity of Onitsha will be offloaded, and they will go by road to those areas. What is remaining, what is coming to this part of the country, will then come upstream to this location. Those will be the ones going to this vicinity to be offloaded here, and those going further north will then go upstream. The dredging activities, and what you will see when you go to the port, is dredging and the engineer is very eager to go, so I'll let him talk in a minute, is what he calls maintenance dredging. There was original dredging at all of these locations to enable, the functioning of these ports that are now being built on the rivers, and the maintenance dredging of this section will facilitate the berthing of boats at this location. But the capacities of both the Barrow port and this port, and of course the Onitsha port, which is completed, are large enough to meet the functions that they will be performing as river ports. Thank you.
You've almost exhausted the points. The area of the port, as you mentioned, is 150 meters by 300 vertical to the bank, perpendicular to the bank. Then the depth is we are expecting to receive flat bottom vessels, and then in order to make use, we just use the depth of the river Niger, which is a minimum depth of 2.5 meters. As at now, at low water, like if you came here about 2 weeks back, the depth would be higher than 2.5. But at lowest water, it will not give anything less than 2.5 meters. So flat bottom vessels will be very effective. The reason why we cited the port here, or the port was cited here, is so that private investors can make use of the dredged channel of the river Niger. If the channel has finished and nobody makes use of it, it will silt again. So once this port is completed and used, the channels dredged would be maintained.
Thanks that our activities at this moment are being reported live as we are on this particular location. And as I said, this has been a significant project. As we are touring, each stop that requires explanation, we would hand over the microphone to you or to some other person, who you think, can be in a position to better explain to us what we are seeing. The reason I asked us to stop by and then make a pathway here is that we're being told that it was an example of the maintenance dredging that is taking place. So I'll give you the microphone to explain precisely what we are seeing. But you will have to come this way, and then probably just a few persons standing with you, not too many.
The quantity of reclamation that was used originally for this site was not enough, because this site where we are now is not the site that was awarded. It was a site which required a lesser quantity of reclamation. So when eventually there was a problem, some constraints, we opted to move it here, and it will require more quantity. Luckily for us, there's a maintenance work on channel maintenance going on. So it was left for us to put in the agreement that the people doing the maintenance should dump, instead of dumping into the river as was the practice, they should now dump it here. It will be used to supplement whatever it was, instead of even going back to the Federal Executive Council to seek further approval for variation of quantity. So that what they may tell you is not totally wrong, is correct. Like that the quantity, the dredging or the reclamation is not part of the river port. I think you mentioned something like that. That you got an information that.
Yeah. What you're saying is that it's not part of the contract, but you have
yes. Approval to vary or increase the quantity.
Will have taken a long time.
It will take another long time.
All right, good. So where's the next place?
My name is Engineer Lagwa. I'm the project engineer for Inter-Bua on this project, which Inter-Bua being the contractor on the project. What we're looking at behind us is the most important structure on this project, and this is the line of sheet piling that would form the key wall. Now, the key wall, as we have attempted to describe, is where the ships and vessels that will be visiting the port will berth adjacent to. Now, where we are, it looks, the reason why we cannot even see the river behind it is because it's a little bit higher than it will eventually be. The sand that is being stockpiled over there will eventually be brought over here, and it will be used to raise the level such that the level of the port would be at that level or slightly higher than the level of the sheet piling. The sheet piling is being driven to what we call a pile cutoff level. It's an elevation that's been established using both the high water level of the river and the like, and that will determine what the level of the port will be, and it's all been engineered for that purpose. Fortunately, very good, very, very good. Fortunately, the advantage of using hydraulic fill is that as the sand is being pumped in, it's as compact as it's going to get once the water runs out of it. So when it is moved by bulldozers here, the primary mode of compaction is just watering it properly and allowing it all to settle down. Exactly. Then you can put the port structures, the pavements at the various thicknesses. They're all about 0.4 meters on top of it without any movement of this, any settling, you know, so then by piling exactly on top of that. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Can you confirm that second
Just
day
quickly.
after you will have finished, commissioned and ready for use?
Oh, absolutely. We've had, as a result of, as I mentioned earlier, some constraints that we experienced. You know, when you build structures of this sort, every civil engineer will tell you that it's almost always the case that you meet unexpected site conditions, and these almost always result in completion times having to be extended a little bit. We requested 4 months of an extension that has lapsed. We've requested a 1-year extension, which NIWA is processing at this moment, and we'll be giving guarantees that will be granted. That would mean that we have a completion date of August of next year. But we have said we were working towards completing it by March, April of next year. Everybody should keep that in mind. Inter-Bua says it is going to complete this project March, April of next year, and you can hold us to that. Thank you.
Better still, our colleagues who are here, we would like to take questions or comments from you. So if you have any of this project.
Extension, will it affect the cost?
What will affect the cost is not the extension. It is the unforeseen circumstances in which we will find ourselves. As the engineering manager mentioned, the engineering manager of NIWA mentioned, the port was initially situated, and when we went through the bidding process, was situated elsewhere. So the quantities to build the port that we bidded for were based on a different location. Everybody knows, or most people know, that civil engineering projects and their costs are location specific. So now that we're at a different location, it is for that reason. That is what is going to affect the cost, not the time delays. Did I answer that question? Yeah.
That because you have a lot of sand here and you are doing the maintenance dredging, you have enough sand there. It has covered up for any extension. And in fact, he said that it was because of that you didn't have to do any variation on the contract. So it therefore means that the time should be right for you to hand over.
Yes, sir. Everybody could be correct, but the truth is that the quantity for the maintenance may not be quite enough. But whatever we will ask will be less than what we would have asked if we had to go totally. The point I wanted to mention was a question: was when it is finished, would they be able to commission it? I say there is a constraint on commissioning, because the aspect in which this contract was awarded was purely civil works. To commission a river port like we did in Onitsha, cargo handling equipments have to be installed. That aspect was not incorporated into the present contract. So it might delay commissioning a little. But if from our memos and then something is done, by the time it comes out in the budget, there is approval to award contract for cargo handling equipments, we don't doubt that this project could be commissioned in the next 6 to 7 months. The variation aspects of it is the conception must have included cargo handling equipment. But the government, with the envelope they gave to Minister of Transport, we say, oh, no, you have gone above the envelope. Do you know? I hope you know what the envelope means. So if the envelope ends with 3 billion, you cannot award a contract of 7 billion. So you have to limit to that phase of the work, which is only civil. There is no doubt about it. Who said, when you say at whose cost, it's still government cost. That aspect was government directed. Go ahead with this side. The other one will be looked into. On the site issue which you mentioned, I'm sure everybody around Lokoja knows that we initially started this project at Banda. That company was liquidated, and all we had to do was to end the contract. And eventually, that company took NIWA and Minister of Transport to court. Injunction was given that nobody should enter that site any longer. We lost the first year of the budget on it. So we then decided, fine, instead of allowing this, because the name was Lokoja River Port. And to get out of the rigors of the law, we now call this one Jamata River Port. We at Panya, it's no more at Banda. We now came over to the Dumes Jetty site there to choose a site and construct the river port. Along the line, somehow we heard, after award of contract, that the place had been sold to a private concern by Jamata people. I must say that. So, if we had to struggle again because NIWA has power to do something by the river banks, this other one will take us to court. And there will be a second court delay. So instead, we quickly, while coming to hand over the site, we negotiated with the Akpanya people. They will defend us. That can we make use of this place? And that's how it came about, Mr. Man.
Well, thank you very much, General Manager, Engineering of NIWA. I think that, may I have your attention, please? May I have your attention? I think that the proper context for the visitation and the comments that we have heard from the officials, both of NIWA and the contractor, Inter-Bua, the context, in my opinion, has to do with the expansion of marine transportation in Nigeria. That is the proper context. The Federal Ministry of Transport is concerned primarily with rail and marine transportation. And in 2012, when we held the first ministerial platform, if I say we, I mean the Federal Ministry of Information, the Honorable Minister of Transport was there on that occasion, and he gave his briefing to the effect that the capital dredging of the lower River Niger had been completed. The dredging project had been on for so many years, but it took late President Yar'Adua in 2009 to kickstart the project, and it was completed by President Goodluck Jonathan. In doing the capital dredging of the lower River Niger, the whole idea was to increase or expand the opportunities for marine transportation, particularly in the inland waterways. But merely dredging the lower River Niger wasn't going to be enough. We have seen the evidence of maintenance dredging. If you dredge, you have to maintain, otherwise the river again will be silted. But again, merely doing capital and maintenance dredging would not suffice. You have to have inland river ports, also called river ports. There's the Barrow port, which we are told is about 98% complete. Here you have this Jamata port that we have been told the circumstances surrounding the relocation of the port project. We have, for the 7%, we have the Onitsha port. Onitsha port has been commissioned by President Goodluck Jonathan. I recall that at some other function this year, questions were being asked as to why the Onitsha port was not in use. And the simple answer is that there is a concessioning program that is ongoing. And once it is completed, the port will be handed over to concessionaires and the port will become operational. Now, here also at Jamata, we are seeing civil works in progress. Civil works, they are not saying that the project will be completed and then the port will be commissioned almost immediately. You have first to have the civil works ready. You have to have access roads, that has not also been dealt with. Access roads and every other thing else, but if you do not have those ones, there is no way you can bring in equipment here for marine offloading, or offloading marine cargo. For those of us again who have also been on the good governance tour, I would like us to cast our mind back to what we saw at the On the River Port Phase 4 when we were in River State. That is a PPP project, but you could see the extensive work that is going on there, somewhat similar to what we are seeing here in terms of sand filling and then the works that they are supposed to do. Again, this is all part, as I said, of the federal government seeking to expand the opportunities and infrastructure for marine transportation. A side point that would be of interest to us is Inter-Bua. How many persons are you employing on this job?
Thank you very much. We are employing upwards of 150 individuals on this job. That is augmented by close to 50 more that would be around for the period of the project, after which we will have to let them go. But building this port has meant that Inter-Bua